So I'm out here Saturday evening, family's inside, finishing dinner, watching a movie. What the hell is that movie called? She just told me what it was called. Great movie. Edward Norton. What the hell was it called? Lost Time. Primal Fear. Nah, it's a great movie. It's a great movie, but there are very few movies that I could ever sit down and watch for like multiple viewings. Star Wars, The Big Lebowski, Full Metal Jacket, Anchorman, Goodfellas. There's a few in there, but Primal Fear, I thought that was a great movie. I loved it, but once was enough, I think. Yeah, especially for a movie like that. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. American History X, man, that was good too. And of course, Fight Club. He's really good, man. Edward Norton, wow. Edward Norton, Edward Snowden. They kind of look similar. Snowden, oh man. Highly recommended, but it's a mind fuck. And you know, nah, I've said too much. I'm out here working on a couple of necks. Thought I'd give a quick rundown of this part of the process in case anybody finds it interesting. You know, what the hell? If one person finds it interesting, then I'm good with that. I mean, I used to watch this shit all the time. I found it interesting, so I'm sure somebody else out there does. So I'll take this neck as an example. The most recent thing that happened on the CNC, the last operation that happened on the CNC was that I rough radiused the fretboard. Let me get something to represent the CNC cutter here. The CNC cutter travels the length of the neck back and forth, and each pass as it goes, it makes an arc in the radius of the fretboard, right? And I just sat down one day with a spreadsheet and did the math and wrote the programming by hand, because sometimes when you let the software do the programming and telling the bit where to go, it does it in like a less than efficient way. I just wanted the damn thing to go up and down, right? As few times as necessary to get that radius in there in a reasonable level of smoothness. So that's what it does. But when it's done, it leaves, you know, it leaves micro grooves at each step in the way. So when it comes off the CNC, it's in that stage with those kind of micro grooves, and that has the holes for the fret dots. So then I glue in the fret dots, and then I take the big radius sanding beams. This one's the 12-inch radius. They're 18 inches long, I think. I had the GoPro stuck to it with double-sided tape. I even take the radius sanding beam and sand the fretboard to remove the micro ridges, to flush those dots down, to sand the dots flush with the fretboard, and progress through the grits to get a nice smooth radius fretboard. The CNC had originally cut the slots for the frets prior to all this happening, but you can imagine as you take material off of the fretboard as you're sanding it, effectively those slots get more and more shallow. And I need them to be a certain depth for whatever fret wire I'm using. So I have the fret saw, which has a depth stop attached to it. This piece of plexiglass moves up and down, and then you tighten it with these thumb screws, and it controls how deep the saw can cut before the plexiglass hits the surface and it won't go any deeper. So I take this fret saw and I hit each slot down to the proper depth. Then I take a needle file, little triangle, this one's a triangular shape, and I file each fret slot. Just a few strokes on each fret slot with a triangular file. So if you could look at it with a microscope, the fret slot would start out like this. I take a few passes with the file to open up the top of the slot like this. Once that is done, I take superfine steel wool, 4/0 steel wool, and I smooth the fretboard one last time. Because once the frets are in there, if you need to do anything to the fretboard, it's a total pain in the ass. You gotta dick around in between each fret. So this is kind of my last opportunity to get a nice, easy pass at the fretboard with the steel wool, which basically just kind of polishes it. And then it's ready for frets. I put the, I open up the top of the slot like that because I glue in the frets. Not everybody does. I do. Some people use glue and some don't. And of the ones who use glue, some use hide glue, some use fish glue. I'm sure some use Titebond, I don't know. Some use super glue. I use super glue. So having that kind of relief in the top of the fret slot makes it easy to lay a bead of the CA glue down in the slot. And then the frets get pressed in. And again, some people press them in, some people hammer them in, some people slide them in from the side. I press them in, just the way I do it. There's pros and cons to like all of these methods. So this is just the way I do it. And I'm a moron, so you know, there should be an asterisk at the bottom, like this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, so you know, proceed with caution. I'm just telling you what I do. Tomorrow morning, this neck will be getting Jescar stainless frets 55090, and then the other neck is also getting Jescar stainless frets a little bit bigger, but the rest of the procedure is exactly the same. But after this, so frets get pressed in, frets get trimmed flush down the sides, and then I'll do the side dots, and then the entire neck will get finished sanded and the ends dressed and all that stuff to get ready to be oiled. Anyway, that's this stage of the game in making a neck here in my little workshop. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found that somewhat informative and entertaining. If not, you know, go fuck yourself. I'm just I hope you're having a good Saturday evening. That's it. Bye.